Hey everybody, BTO Pro here, and today I'm going to show you the progress that's been made based on the user experience audit conducted by the National Archives. So if you're not aware, we've got a unified issue queue now around all things HAX, and there's a lot of other projects we have going on, but anything tagged with UX Study 1 is a formalized user experience study on the HAX editing platform, not HAX CMS, but the HAX editor itself. Conducted by the National Archives. So I have closed out 11 of the 18 issues that have been mentioned. We're still working through these. And obviously, there's still room for improvement. But let's see what this looks like, because if you've looked at HAX before, I highly doubt you'll recognize. So I'm going to show it in the context of HAX CMS, just because it's easy for me to spin up a site here. So let's see UX. So when you start, doesn't look any different, right? Because we're talking HAX CMS here. But when I edit, no more bar across the top, no more in place, lots and lots of UIs. We've got everything really consolidated down to just a couple options here. So anything that I'm working on is going to draw contextually the options available. So whether that's here or whether I create a grid in context, and you notice that the grid has changed. It says grid layout over here. So these are the settings associated with what I'm seeing here. Long gone are the preview panels that draw things off campus, or canvas rather. So I can go to a 2-column. I can actually add, if this is a simple column layout system here, and that actually was responsive, so move down. Or I can get rid of all these columns, and it goes back to just the content that I had in question. So you see the menu over here is changing conditionally. So if I was to move this to an H4, it's going to update reflect this is the H4's settings in question. There's also a lot nicer transitions just on some stuff like that. If I actually take this content, we're going to paste it a bunch of times, showcase some other little nuances here. So we'll make this keep going down the page. And when we scroll past the visual position at the top of the bar, you notice that these hang with us, but also our gridded options move down the side. Another nice little thing, if I move these into a stacked formation, you see that now the paragraph in here gets focus like so. If I add some additional columns, I'm trying to make, oh, there we go. There we go, it's stacked it. I need to make it stack it immediately, but it'll stack these options so that I can still have access to all of them, even though there's a whole bunch of them there. See how it moved back out of the way? I need to make it activate immediately, but there's also much nicer communication of zones that you're working in, right? So as I drag this into this zone, you can see much more clearly the exact area that this is going to take, right? And it's going to connect there. Can duplicate from here, remove these things in context, not a big deal. But now that I deleted that, HAX has detected that I don't have anything in the active context. So it's opened up the additions menu because it assumes, hey, if you don't have anything you're actively working on, you might want to add something. So let's say I wanted to add a license. I can actually take these and start to get a preview. I'm not sure if this will show up in the little recording part, but get a preview as I drag and drop this in place. So I can actually take something out of this add menu, put it exactly where I want it. Now, in place updates, right? So we get those nice updates we showed a second ago. And so it's much easier to work with this in context and see what it is that you're going to influence, right? I could duplicate this, change that one over to an attribution versus non-attribution, what have you. Again, if I delete that, then we get pulled open the add menu. I can collapse that away. Let's take a file from my desktop here. So let's go find, sure, this Helms project, .png file, sure, Slack. Now I'm going to drag and drop a file in here, and wherever I put the file, that actually just uploaded the file to the backend and then put it in context, presenting it as an image. If you recall from the previous version of HAX, that would have asked a lot of questions. It also would have required me to go to a very specific settings area that used to be under add here. I'd have to actually drag and drop a resource specifically in here in order to get it to activate its workflow. Now you can just drag and drop the thing where you want it. Also, and I'm going to do a multiple drag and drop, I can also drag and drop multiple files at once, and it will process them in bulk. I believe I just drag and drop the type that it didn't like, so it didn't actually upload the other one. But we can now support, oh, no, there it is right there, sorry. Scrolled past it. So it actually just uploaded both of these at the same time. Again, much easier workflow in that regard. Take this file. Another thing, if I have like a larger image in this case, right, it might be difficult to actually move this down. If I click on the drag handle, it'll convert it into an up and down arrow so that I can move it a little bit closer to what my target is in order to move it in context. The scaling operations happen over here, and you see it's trying to track it to go, oh, hey, this is where I should be positioned. It's kind of cool. You can see it doing that interactively. I can align this item. We also have a right floated alignment option now, which still needs some work, but you can see now I could actually float that the image interior to this heading in this grid plate here. So another enhancement is certainly around search. So I'm going to search NASA. We're going to search for moonshot. Should be some, oh, nothing with moonshot. How about just moon space shot? Okay. So I get much nicer presentation of what the search results are here. I'm going to take this one, and now I can drag and drop this in context, just like I could the previous one with the other grid plate. So I've got my image drag and dropped here. Now, if I want to convert this image, again, it used to ask a lot of questions if you were going to even do that simple operation. But what I can do now is we assume, and this is configurable via settings, but we assume that if you're putting an image in the page, it's going to actually be an IMG tag. I can still open up the view source and see that it is creating IMG tags as my default here. But if I wanted to convert this to be any number of additional display modes, then we still have the ability to do that, right? So I can convert this into a meme, and now that it's a meme, right, now I can do my top text is the best. And I can still do my silly things that I used to be able to do before, but it's not as, it's not asking me nearly as many questions in order to accomplish that step and get to it. Templates and layouts have been consolidated. So see, we have an example lesson here. If I set the focus into there and then I hit example lesson, it'll dump all of those items in there. Still need to do some cleanup around how those templates and layouts work. Honestly, you don't even really need the layout aspect anymore. So we may end up dropping it because it's so stinking easy to make things into grids and move them around. So I could also do grids and grids now, which I couldn't do before. Right, so we took that image, threw it in there, threw that image into that interior grid. Right, we're getting a lot better performance, but also just creative options as a result of the enhancements to the platform in this version. So we'll hit save, and see we have that saved there. There's all my content that I dumped in. All that stuff's still working as we would expect. What else is in here? So, there's also collapsing and much better responsive and mobile support. So I can collapse the menu out of the way. So let's say that there was some design aspect that was hidden behind the menu. I can actually move the menu out of the way using this collapse. It also works rather well. We'll see if this works on the recording there. So I actually changed screen real estate to be as if this is mobile, and now it's just glued to the top left. And you see the other menus are also able to adapt to the space available, right? So I can work on this image in context, and then if I needed to get to the advanced tools, do that. Now you are going to have some issues, right, if you're working on a phone trying to build advanced page layouts, but it is actually possible to work with this tool in a mobile setting now. And I just broke that out of the grid that it was in. So there's also, nicer touches like these buttons became mobile in this case, little things that certainly make it easier to use. So overall, it is just fundamentally beats the living crap out of what the old editor was. In every way possible. I mean, this is really way easier to use and manage my own content, even in the early things that I've been when working with prior to this being shipped. Obviously, we still have some work to do, but we'd love to have your help with this and anything else in our universe. So you're always welcome to go to hackstheweb.org. It actually now has this version rolled out because we feel confident enough in it that it's something you can play with and actually build and be creative, even just in our little example site here. So yeah, feel free to jump into our issue queues. It's github.com/elmsln/issues is where we've got all of the issues for all of our issue queues. And hope you enjoy the next version of HAX that's coming out pretty soon here. Thanks.